I pull into my parents' driveway, briefcase still balanced on my passenger seat, blazer wrinkled from a day of client meetings. The late afternoon sun catches something sleek and unfamiliar parked in front of the garage. A vehicle I've never seen before, a gleaming electric SUV, its metallic champagne finish winking in the sunset. My sister Maris poses beside it, one manicured hand caressing the hood as if it were a beloved pet. My coffee tumbles from my grip, splashing hot across my khaki pants. I barely notice the sting. Surprise visit? Mom calls from the porch, waving as if this were any ordinary Thursday. We were just about to call you. I force my legs to move, each step forward like trudging through quicksand. This was supposed to be a casual family dinner where I'd finally share my news that after 7 years of searching, I'd found my dream home. A modest 2-bedroom with a mountain view that Eliza, my realtor, swore would accept my offer. What is this? My voice emerges thin, barely audible over the pounding in my ears. Isn't it gorgeous? Maris squeals, patting the hood. 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. Mom loops her arm through mine, guiding me toward the vehicle. We figured it was about time Maris had something reliable. You know how dangerous that old clunker of hers was getting. And how exactly did you pay for it? The question scratches my throat like broken glass. Oh, we used that safety fund you opened back in college. Mom's tone is casual, as if commenting on the weather. It just made sense the money was sitting there and Maris needed this now. My knees nearly buckle. 7 years of disciplined saving, bringing lunch to work in plastic containers while colleagues ordered delivery, declining weekend trips, wearing clothes until they frayed. All while watching Denver housing prices climb higher each month. My house fund? The words emerge strangled. Well, technically, yes, Dad says, emerging from the garage, but you weren't using it right now, and family helps family. My fingers fumble for my phone. I step away from their cluster, hands trembling as I dial my bank. The automated system connects me to a representative. I need to freeze all joint accounts immediately. I say, loud enough for them to hear. Effective now. Isolde! Dad's voice sharpens. What are you doing? You're overreacting, he calls across the driveway. Family helps family. The banking representative confirms my instructions. My hands stop trembling as I check my balance. $247. $247 remains in my checking account. That was $92,000. Each word falls like a stone. Every penny I've saved since college. Well, technically it was just $86,000, Maris corrects, fingering her new key fob. The rest was trade-in value on my old car. The money was in a joint account, Mom explains, her voice hardening. We're family. You've always been too uptight about money. Uptight? The word explodes from my chest. I worked overtime for 7 years. I skipped vacations. I lived in a studio apartment with mold in the bathroom because I was saving every extra dollar. And now your sister has reliable transportation, Dad answers firmly. You'll save again. You've always been good with money. Their words settle around me like ash. My parents stand shoulder to shoulder with Maris, a united front. The realization hits me with startling clarity. They've always seen me as a resource, not a person. The dream home with the mountain view vanishes like smoke. The years of sacrifice evaporate in an instant. You stole my future, I whisper. Don't be so dramatic, Mom sighs. It's just money. I really look at them for the first time. The parents who taught me to respect others' property. The sister who borrowed my clothes without asking throughout high school. The family pattern suddenly crystal clear. Take from Isolde, she'll understand. Not anymore. I turn toward my car, legs steady now, purpose hardening within me. Isolde, dinner's almost ready. Mom calls after me. I don't answer. I don't look back. I've given them enough. Next day, I stare at my monitor, fingers hovering motionless above my keyboard. The quarterly report for the Henderson account sits half-finished on my screen, but I can't focus on asset allocation strategies when my own finances have imploded. Something nags at me. If they took my house fund so casually, what else might they have done? I open my archived email folder and type signature required in the search bar. Hundreds of results populate a routine work documents, insurance renewals, subscription confirmations. I begin scanning dates, subject lines, looking for anything unusual. Then I see it. Congratulations on your new Platinum Plus visa. A credit card application from 3 years ago. I never applied for a Platinum Plus visa. My fingers tremble as I click open the email. There at the bottom, my signature, perfect in every detail, on a document I never saw. I keep searching. 2 student loan applications for Maris, a cash-out refinance on a property I've never owned, a personal loan from First Colorado Credit Union. All bearing my flawless digital signature. The bathroom stall door bangs shut behind me as I collapse onto the closed toilet lid, my phone clutched against my chest. I've been sitting here for I check my watch 27 minutes. My 2 o'clock meeting with the Hendersons started 12 minutes ago. This wasn't just theft. This was identity fraud, forgery, criminal activity spanning years, not moments. My own parents. The thought sends bile rising in my throat. Later that evening, my apartment feels smaller than usual, the walls pressing in as Reed connects his laptop to mine. His salt and pepper beard catches the blue light from his screen, making him look older than his 36 years. "You sure you want to do this?" he asks, fingers paused above his keyboard. "Once we go digging." "They emptied my house fund, Reed," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "I need to know everything." He nods once and begins typing, his cybersecurity expertise opening doors I couldn't access alone. We spend hours tracking digital breadcrumbs through statements, applications, and loan documents. Each discovery lands like a physical blow. "Jesus," Reed whispers, pushing his glasses up his nose. His expression shifts from professional concentration to personal horror as the numbers add up. "Isolde, this is..." "Keep going," I say, my shock hardening into something colder, more focused. The betrayal unfolds in spreadsheet columns and PDF attachments. My sister's student loans $78,200 with my name as co-signer. A cash-out refinance against my parents' home for $160,000, bearing my forged signature as guarantor. 3 credit cards, a personal loan, a furniture store financing plan. $276,400 siphoned over 5 years. "They used your social security number for most of these," Reed says, voice gentle as if speaking to someone gravely ill. "And they had access to your email to approve the electronic signatures." I remember setting up their accounts years ago, showing them how to manage bills online. The password recovery questions they could easily answer. My first pet's name, my elementary school, my childhood best friend. "What happens now?" Reed asks, stretching his back after hours hunched over our computers. The question snaps everything into focus. What happens now is that my career could be destroyed. I work at a financial firm where trust is everything. If anyone discovered my name connected to this web of fraudivine, as a victimy reputation would be irreparably damaged. My phone pings with a credit monitoring alert. My score has dropped 160 points overnight. The Mountain View condo slips further away. With this credit score, no bank will approve my mortgage application. I open my contacts and select Eliza's number. My finger hovers over the call button, then slides to the message icon instead. "Need to cancel tomorrow's meeting about the condo offer. Something's come up, we'll explain later." I set down my phone and turn back to Reed's screen, where the evidence of my family's betrayal glows in the darkness of my apartment. The next morning, I call the bank's fraud department during my lunch break. I pace the small courtyard behind our office building, phone pressed to my ear, autumn leaves crunching beneath my sensible work heels. "We take these matters very seriously, Miss Drummond." The fraud specialist says after I've explained my situation. "The documentation you've submitted clearly shows unauthorized use of your identity. We'll be opening an investigation immediately." The validation washes over me, someone believes me, someone sees the truth. As I hang up with the fraud specialist, I face a crossroads. Should I handle this privately and protect my family's reputation, or should I report everything to the authorities? The first path might save our relationship, but the second would ensure justice. What would you do when those who should protect you become the ones you need protection from? 3 days later, the second phone call from Aunt Vivian comes at 6:14 a.m. I silence it without looking at the screen and roll over, pressing my face into the pillow. My phone immediately buzzes with a voicemail notification. The third one this morning. Isolde, honey, your father called us last night. We're so worried about you. Her voice wavers with practiced concern. This obsession with money isn't healthy. Family supports each other through thick and thin. Please call me back. I delete the message and stare at my ceiling, the gray morning light casting shadows across the water stain in the corner of my rented bedroom. 3 days since I froze the accounts. 3 days of relentless pressure building like a thunderstorm. By noon, Uncle Gerald calls about my mental state. Cousin Rebecca texts about a therapist who specializes in financial anxiety. My mother leaves 4 voicemails suggesting I might need professional help with this money fixation. The family narrative is solidifying. Isolde is having a breakdown. Isolde is irrational. Isolde doesn't understand family obligations. I mute my phone and arrive at work 30 minutes early, needing the quiet of an empty office. A certified letter waits on my desk, forwarded from my apartment. My hands tremble as I tear it open. Formal notice of intent to pursue legal action for financial abandonment if joint accounts are not reopened within 72 hours. The paper slips from my fingers. My parents are threatening to sue me. Later that night, I spread my credit report across my kitchen table, each page revealing new horrors. 3 credit cards I never applied for, all maxed to their limits. My signature forged with a precision that makes my stomach clench. The first card opened 6 years ago, a platinum rewards card with a $25,000 limit, the second 4 years ago. The third just last Christmas, when Mom hugged me extra tight and said how blessed she was to have such a generous daughter. Sleep becomes a luxury I can no longer afford. Dark circles form beneath my eyes. Coffee becomes breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner. During a client presentation, I stumble over numbers I've reviewed a dozen times. My boss Landon frowns, concern etched across his forehead. Everything all right, Isolde? You seem distracted lately. Just tired. I lie, forcing a smile that feels like cracked glass on my face. That night, I nearly missed the deadline for the Harriman account, $1 million portfolio I've managed flawlessly for 3 years. The realization jolts me awake at 3 a.m. I submit the paperwork 4 minutes before the system would have locked me out. Something has to change. I clear my dining table and start fresh. A clean notebook. Color-coded sticky notes. I create a detailed timeline of every unauthorized transaction. Each forged signature. Every account. Every dollar. The betrayal mapped out in meticulous detail across my wall. Hour by hour, night after night, I build my case. Bank statements dating back 7 years. Credit applications I never signed. Loan documents with forged initials. Each piece of evidence labeled, dated, and organized chronologically. I document patterns, highlight inconsistencies, cross-reference statements. My living room transforms into an investigation hub. The yellow glow of my desk lamp spills across papers that tell the story of years of systematic theft. When the wall runs out of space, I use the floor. When my notebook fills, I start another. The morning light catches on a pattern I hadn't noticed before, a recurring transfer of exactly $1,273 on the 15th of each month for the past 3 years. I trace it to a vacation property in Florida I've never visited. My phone rings with an unfamiliar number. I almost ignore it, assuming another relative with concerns. Miss Drummond? This is Detective Rowan Bateman with the Financial Crimes Unit. I've been reviewing your case file. I grip the phone tighter, breath caught in my throat. Miss Drummond, in 15 years of financial crimes, I've rarely seen documentation this thorough. We're opening a formal investigation today. For the first time in weeks, something lifts inside my chest. Validation. Someone believes me. The lightness lasts exactly 7 hours, until my mother calls with a voice like honey. Isolde, sweetheart, we need to talk. We're having a family meeting tonight at 7. Everyone will be there. I recognize the trap immediately. The ambush disguised as reconciliation. Still, I go. Driving to their house feels like approaching a battlefield without armor. My parents and Maris wait in the living room, arranged on the sofa like a united front. Dad's jaw tight, Mom's eyes glistening with perfect tears, Maris examining her manicure. "We've always supported you," Mom begins, patting the seat beside her. I remain standing. This whole situation has gotten out of hand. You've always been so good with money. Can't you just let this go? What's family for if not to help each other? The familiar script, the subtle manipulation, the redirection of blame. Family is for love, not theft. I say, my voice steadier than I expected. You didn't borrow, you stole my future. Dramatic as always, Maris sighs, rolling her eyes. 3 credit cards, 2 personal loans, 1 cash-out refinance. I tick off each item on my fingers. All in my name, all without my knowledge. We would have paid it back eventually. Dad snaps, color rising in his face. The revelation hits me with startling clarity. I don't need their approval to protect myself. I never did. The Financial Crimes Unit doesn't see it that way, I say, turning toward the door. Neither does the prosecutor. The chaos erupts behind me, shouting, threats, pleas. None of it touches me anymore. Outside, my phone buzzes with a text from Eliza. Got photos of the SUV being repossessed, sending them to Detective Bateman now. Another message from Reed. Recovered the digital signatures from the bank's server before they could be deleted. Data secured. My support network. People who respect boundaries. People who understand right from wrong. At work the next morning, I speak up in a meeting for the first time in weeks, my voice clear and confident. Landon nods approvingly as I present my analysis. The weight hasn't disappeared, but it's shifted somehow, becoming manageable. That evening, I organize everything for the prosecutor: bank statements, credit reports, forged documents, each piece of evidence telling part of a larger story of betrayal. My phone rings, Detective Bateman again. "Miss Drummond, we've discovered something you should know. This isn't the first time. There are previous cases of identity theft connected to your family, other victims." The news settles over me, not as a shock, but as confirmation of something I've suspected all along. Next day at work, my office phone lights up. Landon's extension. "Isolde, could you come to my office?" His voice sounds strained. "Your sister just applied for a position here, using you as a reference." 10 minutes later, I arrange the documents on the compliance officer's desk with surgical precision. Bank statements, loan applications, forged signatures. My hands no longer shake when I handle the evidence of my family's betrayal. "Miss Drummond, you understand the seriousness of these allegations?" The compliance officer, Mr. Winters, peers at me over half-moon glasses. His initial skepticism has evolved into something else entirely, a professional alarm that brightens his eyes. I do. My voice remains steady as I point to the fraudulent job application. My sister listed me as her reference, claiming 5 years of financial management experience she doesn't have. She also forged my signature as guarantor on this application. I tap the document where Maris attempted to mimic my handwriting. The loops too rounded, the crosses too high. Her credit history would never qualify her for this position. I continue. The background check would eventually flag these discrepancies, but I wanted to ensure the company was aware immediately. Mr. Winters examines the documentation with growing concern. This pattern extends beyond this application. Yes. I slide forward the police report. Detective Bateman is handling the criminal investigation into multiple instances of identity theft and fraud. The intercom buzzes. "Mr. Winters, there's a situation in the lobby requiring your attention." In the lobby, Maris creates the scene I anticipated. Mascara streams down her face, voice pitched to carry across the marble flooring. "My sister is destroying our family." She clutches the arm of a security guard who looks profoundly uncomfortable. "She's always been jealous of me, always wanted to hurt me." I remain by the elevator, watching as Landon, my supervisor, approaches with the head of security. "Ma'am, you need to leave the premises," the guard says. "But she stole my money," Maris wails, pointing at me. "I only borrowed it, she knows that." The security cameras capture everything, her confession wrapped in a denial. Landon's eyebrows rise as he glances my way. "Please escort Miss Drummond's sister out," he instructs, "and save that security footage." That afternoon, the company initiates a formal fraud investigation. The compliance team discovers 3 other applicants with suspicious financial backgrounds who listed my sister as a reference. The scope widens beyond what even I anticipated. Later, Detective Bateman calls as I'm unlocking my apartment door. The prosecutor believes we have enough for criminal charges against all 3 family members, he says without preamble. But I need to know, do you want to press charges against your own parents? I freeze, keys dangling from my fingers. Miss Drummond? Isolde? When Detective Bateman asked if I wanted to press criminal charges against my own parents, I hesitated. Would seeking full legal consequences bring justice and closure? Or would finding another way to hold them accountable preserve some remnant of family I might need someday? Yes, I finally answer. I want to press charges. The following morning, Landon calls me into his office. The blinds are drawn, casting striped shadows across his desk. That was quite a situation yesterday, he says, motioning for me to sit. I've reviewed your work since you joined us 3 years ago. My stomach tightens. Despite everything, I've maintained my professional standards, but perhaps the drama has finally contaminated my career. Your ability to detect inconsistencies is remarkable, he continues. The way you documented your own family's fraud shows exceptional attention to detail and ethical commitment. He slides a folder across the desk. We're creating a new position, Senior Risk Strategist. The fraud you uncovered extends beyond your family. We need someone with your skills to review our entire client verification system. I open the folder. The salary listed is nearly double my current compensation. Think about it, Landon says, but don't think too long. We need someone immediately. That evening, Eliza calls. I found something, my realtor says, excitement threading through her voice. A Mountain View condo. Smaller than the house you wanted, but with your promotion and what you've saved since the theft, it's within reach. How did you know about the promotion? I ask. Denver's financial world is small, she laughs. So, want to see it tomorrow? For the first time in weeks, something like hope flickers in my chest. The next day brings news that the prosecutor has filed formal charges against my parents and Maris. Bank fraud, identity theft, criminal conspiracy. My phone buzzes with notifications from family members who once ignored my warnings. My aunt's message reads, "Just heard what happened, we had no idea. Call if you need anything." I set the phone aside without responding. That evening, I drive past my parents' house. A foreclosure notice hangs on the front door, partially obscured by a real estate flyer. The house that witnessed my childhood is now collateral damage in their scheme. I feel nothing but a cold certainty as I drive away. The court date is set for next month, where I'll deliver my victim impact statement. The words are already taking shape in my mind, sharp and precise as surgical instruments. Family helps family. My father's words echo as I accelerate onto the highway. He was right about one thing: I am helping my family. I'm helping them face the consequences of their actions. Some lessons come at great cost, but they come nonetheless. The cream-colored envelope arrives on a Tuesday, 3 days before the court confrontation. No return address, just my name and my father's once steady handwriting, now trembling across the paper like an old man's confession. I know who it's from before I slide my finger under the flap. The letter inside bears tear stains, actual tear stains smudging the ink in perfect dramatic splotches. The paper is expensive, the kind Mom saves for important correspondence, as if quality stationery might somehow elevate their desperation. Dearest Isolde, we write with heavy hearts, hoping you'll reconsider your statement at the upcoming hearing. Maris made mistakes, but she meant well. We all did. Think of our family legacy, the Drummond name that spans 4 generations in this community. Is this how you want it to end? In disgrace and prison jumpsuits? This will destroy the family name forever. With eternal love. Mom and Dad. I fold the letter precisely along its creases and place it in the file marked Evidence. Their manipulations have become so transparent I can practically see through them like cheap gauze. My phone buzzes. It's Eliza. We're approved. Her voice sparkles through the speaker. The condo is yours if you still want it, mountain view and all. I press my palm against the kitchen counter to steady myself. When can we close? That's the best part. The sellers are motivated, we can close by Friday. The same day my parents' foreclosure finalizes. The universe has a poetry to it sometimes. I'll be there, I say, and for the first time in months, my voice doesn't waver. Later that afternoon, my email pings with a notification from the bank's fraud department. The formal determination letter arrives with language so satisfying I read it twice. After thorough investigation, we have determined the accounts in question were accessed fraudulently. Your credit score will be restored to its pre-incident status of 812. We regret the inconvenience this has caused. 812. Higher than before the theft began. Years of financial discipline finally recognized. I draft my response to my parents' letter with the same careful precision they taught me when writing thank you notes as a child. Actions have consequences. I didn't destroy our family, your choices did. That night I sleep without dreaming for the first time since finding Maris posing beside that champagne-colored SUV. Friday arrives crisp and clear, autumn sunlight streaming through the courthouse windows as I take my seat in the front row. The wooden bench feels solid beneath me. Detective Bateman nods from across the aisle, case files stacked neatly beside him. When they bring my family in, I barely recognize them. Dad's shoulders hunch forward, his usual commanding posture collapsed. Mom's hair hangs limp, her makeup-free face a map of new lines. Maris won't look at me at all. The court calls Isole Drummond for her victim impact statement. The judge announces. I approach the podium, my heels clicking against marble. The sound echoes decisive, rhythmic, unstoppable. The papers in my hand don't tremble. For 29 years, I begin. I believed family meant protection and support. Instead, mine taught me that family could mean exploitation and theft. I detail each betrayal with clinical precision. The forged signatures, the drained accounts, the lies to extended family about my mental state, the student loans I never took, the house refinance I never authorized. When confronted, they told me I was too uptight about money. But this was never about money. It was about trust and respect, both of which they systematically destroyed. My parents' faces transform as I speak, shock blooming as they realize how thoroughly I've documented their crimes. They never imagined I would expose the full pattern of abuse to strangers. Privacy was always our family religion. Your Honor, I'm not here seeking revenge. I'm here seeking justice and protection, not just for myself, but for others they might exploit. My parents and sister viewed me not as a person to love, but as a resource to deplete. The judge's gaze never wavers from my face. Thank you, Miss Drummond. You've shown remarkable courage. The sentencing comes swiftly. 5 years for my parents with possible parole after 2, plus full restitution. 3 years for Maris for identity theft and loan fraud. As the bailiff leads them away, I stand directly in their path. For one moment, we're face to face. You didn't love me, I say quietly, so only they can hear. You loved what you could take from me. Mom's face crumples. Dad looks away. Maris finally meets my eyes, hers swimming with tears that might even be genuine. Too late. I sign the closing papers for my Mountain View condo that afternoon. The keys feel substantial in my palm, heavier than their actual weight, weighted with triumph. That evening, Reed brings champagne to my empty living room. We sit on the floor, backs against bare walls, glasses catching the last golden light of sunset streaming through uncurtained windows. To boundaries, he toasts, clinking his glass against mine. And consequences, I add. My phone rings. Detective Bateman. I answer immediately. Miss Drummond, I wanted to give you a heads up. Your parents are attempting an appeal. I straighten. On what grounds? They're claiming you gave verbal permission for all the financial transactions, that this was a family understanding that you're now denying. Of course they are. Even now, they can't accept responsibility. Will it work? I ask. Not likely. Your documentation is too thorough, and their pattern too established. But I thought you should know. As I hang up, another notification pops up on my phone screen, a link to a GoFundMe page. The thumbnail shows Maris's face, carefully composed in an expression of wounded innocence. The headline reads, Family Persecution, Help Us Fight Injustice. I click the phone off without opening the link. Some stories don't deserve my attention anymore. Through my new windows, the mountains stand silent sentinel against the darkening sky. Immovable, permanent, just like the boundaries I've finally learned to enforce. A year later, I arrange a platter of cheese and crackers on my granite countertop, pausing to admire how the afternoon sunlight streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Mountain View condo. The view still takes my breath away, rolling foothills giving way to snow-capped peaks in the distance. My home, actually mine. Need help with anything? Eliza calls from the living room where she's adjusting a framed letter on the Walmy promotion to senior risk strategist at the firm. Just bring that bottle of champagne, I answer, smiling as I hear the doorbell. A year ago, I would have dropped everything to answer my parents' calls. Now, I silence my phone during meetings, set boundaries with colleagues, and most importantly, own this space where no one can take anything from me without permission. Reed arrives with Detective Bateman, both carrying housewarming gifts. The detective's presence no longer triggers the anxiety it once did. Instead, I feel a rush of gratitude for the man who believed me when others didn't. Place looks amazing, Reed says, whistling appreciatively at the mountain panorama. Worth every minute of spreadsheet analysis we did. Later that week, I noticed Jenna from accounting hunched over her desk, eyes red-rimmed. Something in her posture, the protective curve of her shoulders, the way she keeps checking her phone reminds me of myself a year ago. Everything okay? I ask, closing her office door. She hesitates before sliding her phone across the desk. My brother took out a credit card in my name, third one this year. I recognize the fear in her eyes, the same paralyzing mix of betrayal and family loyalty that once kept me silent. When my family stole from me, I thought I'd lost everything. I tell her, my voice steady. But sometimes the strongest foundations are built after everything else crumbles. I share my story not as the victim, but as someone who survived and rebuilt. I offer both practical next steps for fraud reporting and the emotional reassurance that protecting yourself isn't selfish. By the time she leaves my office, her shoulders have straightened. She has a plan. 1 year after the sentencing, I host a small dinner at my condo. Eliza brings a bottle of wine. Reed arrives with homemade bread. Detective Bateman Rowan, as he insists I call him now, brings his famous apple pie. We gather around my dining table, the mountains framed perfectly through the window behind us. To chosen family, I say, raising my glass. The ones who respect your boundaries. Their glasses clink against mine, and for a moment the warmth in the room feels like what family should have been all along. The next morning, my phone buzzes with a prison call as I sit at my kitchen island. My mother's voice would be on the other end, likely with another apology that somehow twists into blame. I decline it, turning instead to the financial literacy program proposal spread before me. The program targets victims of family financial abuse, people like me, like Jenna, people who need both practical tools and emotional support to rebuild. My phone buzzes again, another prison call. I silence it without a second thought and add a final signature to the proposal. Later that evening, friends gather on my balcony. Someone I've been dating for a few months, someone who asks before borrowing so much as a pen pours wine as laughter fills the cooling air. My phone lights up again, prison call. As I watch the call fade from my screen, I wondered if there are some bridges that shouldn't be rebuilt, even after the debt is paid. When is cutting ties completely the healthiest choice, and when is there value in allowing carefully guarded reconciliation? I don't have all the answers yet, but for the first time since that day in my parents' driveway, I have the freedom to decide for myself.